that in order to tread the spiritual path properly, first of all, you need proper theoretical knowledge. Just like to become an engineer, you need proper knowledge. You don't start inventing and discovering your own. So when in worldly life you need knowledge, how much more important it is in spiritual field where the immediate realization is not there. So you need a teacher who can explain to you theoretical knowledge. The problem is that God has a rule. He says, I will not come initially. Nirmal man jana so mohi pava. He says, when your mind is totally pure, I will come and give you my darshan. I will come and meet you. Until then, I don't know. You do your sadhana, become of pure mind, and you will see me. So what do we do now? He is not going to come initially. Where do we get knowledge from? The knowledge is there in the scriptures. These scriptures are a reservoir of knowledge, like the Bhakti Darshan itself. There are hundreds of scriptures in the Vedic tradition. But the problem is they are all divine. And when we endeavor to understand them with our material intellect, we become confused. So the scriptures themselves are teaching us, you understand us through a guru. The Vedas say, Tad Vijnanartham sa gurumeva vigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtham. This is from the Mundakopanishad. Tad Vijnanartham, in order to know God, sa gurumeva vigachet, approach guru. This is the first Mundak, second Khand, 12th mantra. You come to the Bhagavatam, Vedvyas writes the same thing. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam shabde parecha nishnatam brahmanyu pashamashrayam. 11th canto, 14th chapter, 21st verse. If you find a guru who is shabde pare, he will help you cross Maya and attain God. And the Bhagavad Gita says the same thing. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. 34th verse of the 4th chapter. Arjun, find a tattvadarshi, somebody who has realized the truth. Approach him, inquire from him submissively, serve him, and he shall impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So these scriptures are telling us that the knowledge you want, you will get it from the scriptures via the Guru. So the fact is, first we will meet the Guru. He will train us up. He will help us develop a clean heart. He will prepare us. And then God will come. Just like the parents, they prepare the children. That girl, she is trained, she is made competent in everything, skillful. She is taught how to dance, how to sing, everything. And when she is become 22, 25 years old, then one man comes. He says, all right, what are your qualifications? The map of your face is all right. You know how to dance, you know how to sing, all right, passed. Now he takes 7 rounds around the fire and he takes that girl as the wife. So this man who took 7 rounds and took that girl away, was there any great wonder in this? No. The real effort was put by the parents who brought that girl to that stage. Similarly, the Guru puts in the effort with the soul, training him in various ways. And when the soul is ready, then God comes. This soul, is his drawing room okay? Drawing room? Is his heart all clean? Absolutely pure? No attachment to husband, wife, Rasgulla, television? No, all clean. God says, all right, now I'm coming. So all the work before that was done by the Guru. If the Guru did not put in that work, how would the soul attain God? So that is why when the soul does finally attain God, he expresses his debt to the Guru. Kabirji was a great saint. He completed his sadhana and finally God manifested. So in front of Kabirji, there are two personalities. On one side is God, on the other side is the Guru. So he says, Guru Gobind do khade, kake lagu paya. Guru and God are both in front of me. Whom should I offer my obeisance to? To both of them, of course. But whom should you offer obeisance first? That is the question in his mind. Offer it to God, he is bigger. No, I'll offer it first to Guru, then to God. Balihari Guru apane Govinda diyo milaya. Because it is the Guru who has helped me meet you, O Lord. So I am indebted to him. So similarly, Narad ji says, Mukhyatastu Mahat Kripa. Mahat means the Mahapurush or the saint. This bhakti I am talking about will be attained primarily through the grace of the Guru and secondarily through the grace of God. God will help you meet the Guru and then the Guru will help you meet God. Sutra number 39. Mahat Sangastu Durlabho Gamyo Moghascha. So this sutra, let us understand it in the context of sutra number 41. In this sutra 39, Naradji says it is very difficult to find a true saint. You will attain bhakti through a saint, but it is very difficult to find a real Guru. Why is that? He is explaining in sutra number 41. So we are just changing the sequence a little. Tasmin stajjane bheda bhavat. Naradji says that Guru is just like God. Now this is a very big statement. The Guru is like God. Well, this statement is reflected again and again in Hindu philosophy. Everybody has heard of this verse. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. The Guru is Brahma, the Guru is Vishnu, the Guru is Maheshwar. The first time I went to jail, actually it was the second time, to give lectures, not to get admitted. Yeah. So I was like a new preacher and the IG of jails used to come and attend. So he took me to the jail. So he took me around and this big prisoner, fat guy with big mustaches, he came, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. I said, look, these Indians, even the prisoners, they have philosophy in their head. But this verse, intuitively, we look on the Guru as God. Why do we do that? What is the reason for that? The Guru is someone who has surrendered to God. The Guru has no personal motive. The Guru is somebody who has dedicated himself or herself to the Lord. And when one dedicates to the Lord, then one becomes the non-doer and God starts doing through that soul. In other words, that soul kind of sleeps in the lap of God and God takes over. That soul becomes the instrument and God becomes the doer. So these God-realized saints are actually working by the inspiration of God. That is why Tulsi Das, who has written this amazing Ramayana, it's one of the most spectacular literatures in the whole world. If you just look at it from the point of view of literature, there's hardly anything you will come across like the Ramayana written by Tulsidas. But he says, "न मैं किया न करी सकूं, साहिब करता मोर, करत करावत आप है, tulsi tulsi shor." He says, I never wrote anything. It is Ram who wrote this Ramayana. I was only the medium, the instrument. I was the non-doer. Whatever he inspired me to write, I wrote it down. So the saints are acknowledging that we did not do anything. God acted through us. The Bible says the holy men of God spoke as they were moved by the Holy Ghost. One of the most famous commentators in Islam is R.A. Nicholson. In his book Diwan-e Shams-e Tabriz, he writes, that fakir who has attained ekatva with Allah, now his karnamas don't remain his. They all become Khudai. They are all done by Khuda himself. And in the Zend Avestha, that is the holy book of the Parsis, there's a question, Ye mantra razem mazda bahraiti urvatho asha nemang haha zarathustro. O Ahura Mazda, O Supreme Lord, when your prophet Zarathustra speaks, you please speak through him. And he gives the answer, Mahya razeng vohu sahit manhang haha. When he speaks, I will be speaking through him. So the Guru surrenders to God. And then God acts through the Guru to do his work of Jiva Kalyan, or welfare of the souls. Sometimes God descends himself, we call him an avatar. Sometimes he acts through the Guru, we call him an Acharya. But the work is being done by God himself. Swami Vivekananda said, an Acharya is one through whom the divine power acts. So because it is God who is acting through that Guru, we look on that Guru as the manifestation of God himself. That is why it is said that keep a divine intellect towards your Guru. If you keep a material intellect by looking at his body, then you will not be able to do sadhana. Because then you will analyze, Guruji told me to do this, should I do it, should I not do it, did he tell right, or did he tell 50% right, or did he tell 30% right? And when we start using our intellect, we will not be able to do sadhana. How will we surrender? Surrender is dependent upon faith. And that faith requires divine sentiments. There is the story of the Buddha. His closest disciple was Anand. So Anand was from Purvashram, or before sannyas. He was the cousin brother of the Buddha. And he came and met him. And he said, listen, right now I am not your disciple. I am your brother. I wish to become your disciple tomorrow. Before I become your disciple, I have a condition. I have 3 conditions. If you promise to fulfill them, I'll become your disciple. The Buddha laughed. He said, what are these conditions? First condition, you will always keep me with you. You will never send me away on seva or service. The Buddha said, second condition, if I ask somebody to meet you, you will definitely meet him. You will not say, I don't have time right now. He laughed. He said, all right, that condition also is fulfilled. So, what is the third condition? The third condition is that I will do whatever seva I like. I will serve you, but according to my choice and my desire. The Buddha said, all right. So the next day, Anand became his disciple. And it is said he stayed with him for 40 years. The Buddha traveled all over, Anand traveled along with him. After 40 years, the Buddha was about to leave his body. So Anand asked him in a very remorseful mind. He said, all your other disciples, they advanced so much. Why is it that I am still stuck where I was 40 years ago? The Buddha said, Anand, that mistake you made on the first day itself. When you looked on your Guru as your cousin brother, you never made the divine sentiment. So that is why Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, you look on your Guru in a divine sentiment. He is as good as God. Then you are able to surrender. In fact, the Bhagavatam goes on to say, Yasya Sakshad Bhagavati Jnana Deepa Prade Gurau Martya Saddhi Shrutam Tasya Sarvam Kunjara Shauchavat. He says, Yasya Sakshad Bhagavati. This is the 26th verse of the 15th chapter of the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam. Vedavyas writes, Yasya Sakshat, that Guru is godly. Martya Saddhi, if you keep a material intellect towards the Guru, your sadhana will be Kunjara Shauchavat. What is Kunjara Shauchavat? Kunjar is elephant. Shauchavat, bath. Like the bath of an elephant. You know, an elephant, what does it do? It's got this huge body. So it goes and bathes in the river. And when it comes out, what does it do? It takes the mud from the bank and puts it back on itself. Why does the elephant do that? Even I don't know the answer to that question. You'll have to ask the elephant himself. But it does like that. Bhagavatam says, Kunjara Shauchavat. If you don't keep a divine intellect towards the Guru, that will be the result. So, Tasmin Stajjane Bheda Bhavat. That Guru is actually non-different from God. And what is the difficulty? In a stone deity, we can see God. Right? That's the Hindu tradition. Even in stone, you can see God. When the first time the Britishers put up milestones on the village roads, the villagers said, Hanumanji has manifested. They are seeing that stone as Hanuman. So when you can see God in a stone, why can't you see God in the Guru? And in fact, you are then asked to see God everywhere. Isha Vasya Dagvam Sarvam. But it has to be step by step by step. So, because that Guru is not different from God, if you have found the Guru, it's like one step to finding God himself. That is why he says, to find the Guru is very difficult. So, if it is so difficult, how will we find the Guru? And all these questions, we will complete this Guru Tattva in those two sutras that have been left out. Then we will continue with these sutras in which Narad Ji is telling us how to do sadhana. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki, Shri Narad Muni Maharaj ki, Jagat Guru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj ki.